Hello and welcome to OFR F1 Division 4 Round 1 here in Singapore. I'm your one and only commentator for today's live stream, _Hans. Okay, so welcome to the short qualifying session here at Singapore for the Division 4 Singapore Grand Prix season opener. Okay, how is audio now? Okay, so how's the audio now? Test, test, test. Test, test, test. So I think we've got our audio issues sorted out. So yeah, without further ado, let's crack on with the qualifying session, as we've got Male Human on an outlap right now, who we're riding on board with. She comes under the Anderson Bridge. And I think it's got to be Benji who's going to be the first driver to actually begin their flying lap. Unless no, Bondovin, it'll be Bondovin, so we're going to ride on board with Bondovin. And we'll watch his lap as he comes up to the right-hander before the second straight. Taking a little bit of curve on the inside, but he's got a decent run onto the straight. Comes under the banner and he brakes late just before the 50-metre board. He's had a big lock up there though, which is going to have cost him quite a bit of time, so we'll see if he continues on though. Using all the track, I think he may have just tapped the wall there. He's going to be scubbing off a bit of speed. He doesn't really want to do that, but This is just a banker time for the time being, and then he can try and improve on it on later runs. A full throttle on the Anderson Bridge, and then quickly onto the brakes for the hairpin. And trying to get the car straightened up and back on the throttle as quickly as he can do. Looks like he's coming up to somebody who's on their out lap. So hopefully they'll get out over the way, I'd imagine. Flicking the car to the right, then to the left, and then this is a crash hot spot in the race, so I'd watch out for this as clips the apex on the inside, then gets to the other side to clip the apex again. Looking like a not too bad third sector. As Jedi set to 138.7. Let's see what Bondovin can say about that. Getting a good run up to the line. He crosses the line to do a 138 flat. And then Panzer improves by 0.6 on that to do a 137.4. Let's see, because it looks like Lord Z is also on a fast lap here and he's about to cross the line. As we see Benji do a 138.6. See what Lord Z can do. He can do a 138.1 to put himself third fastest as it currently stands. Here comes Male Human. He's going to cross the line and he's... Looks like he manages a 141.7, so I think he's probably backed up on that lap, and maybe this is his flying lap here. We have Leica, I think, currently on a fast lap as Male Human has spun. Picked up a bit of damage, he's hit the wall there. Hopefully he can get that turn around. He's gone straight into the wall again and lost more of his front wing. But I think, yeah, I think he's going to be out of the way of anybody. I don't think he's going to ruin anyone's lap, so that's what's the most important thing. As here comes Leica up to the final corner. He rounds the final corner and he crosses the line and he puts himself on for 135.8, blowing the times of Panzer, Bondovin, Lord Z and such out of the water there. We'll see what some of the other drivers have to say about it. We've got Vilsek on a flying lap right now. Donava 04 is also on a flying lap. Got Farmesto's in the pits and Avi's on an outlap, so if we ride on board, I think with Vilsek, as he's using all of the track there on the left hand side, and then he's going to quickly flick the car into the right, then into the left. He has a little bit of a lock-up, but I don't think it's cost him too much time. See how he negotiates this difficult section. Doing well through there, and then he needs to take a little bit of curb and not too much to get it invalidated. He's got a little bit of oversteer there by just taking a little bit too much curb, just exceeding the slip on the tyres and giving himself a little bit of wheel spin, but he's got it straightened up for the line well enough to do a 136.6 to go second fastest, but still 0.8 adrift of Leica. Here we watch, comes into the right, again doing the same as what Vilsek did, just using a little bit of traction on the rear there, but he decides to come into the pits, and I think we've got Avi on a fast lap. Vilsek gets well out of the way for him and he gets the power down on the straight, the DRS wide open. And his first flying lap in this Ferrari around this track this season, so we watch him come through now, the right-hander. Very difficult to get the good traction out of here, but he's done it well, it looks like. Then he's into the left. And we could actually bring up the full track map here as well, just to see if a driver we're watching does go purple, so we'll leave that up there for the time being as Avi slams on the brakes for the hairpin and he gets the car rotated. He gets a bit of wheel spin though, the rear end comes out a little bit out of there, but he's kept it together. He'll lose him a bit of time, but hopefully not too much. Of course, every 10th matters here in qualifying, especially in a league as competitive as OFR. He negotiates this really difficult section, but he's backed off, it looks like. I think he's completely backed off this lap. And he's turned his battery back up again, and now this has got to be his fast lap, I think. So we've got... Does Vilsek have some damage there, or does he just not want to waste any time? Ah, he has damage. I wonder what happened there to Vilsek, but Move on, we look at Jedi, and Jedi's lap has also been invalidated, so he's not going to be able to set a maybe he'll go for another one after this. As we see Avi now still on his flying lap that he just started. Finishes the first sector and goes left, and he's just invalidated it there on that left-hander. Unfortunately for him, it means he's not going to be able to get a lap in, and he does not have the fuel, I don't think, to do another lap after this, so he is going to have to come into the pits. But that's just costing opportunities there for Avi. Meanwhile, Leica has now come out on his out lap on his second run, so we'll see if he can extend his advantage at the top, or if in the meantime anybody could come along and knock him off top spot. We now see Bondovin coming down the main straight. He's on his flying lap as well. As we see Theaton go and do a 1:36.8 to put himself third, so we've got the racing points in second and third so far, but Leica's got quite an advantage out front, and we've just got through the weather report. Qualifying will be staying dry, which is what we would suspect from looking around, but half of the race we think there's going to be some rain involved in the race, so we'll keep you posted on that. Any more details I hear, of course, we'll relay it straight away, so we'll see. As I think Larvesh is also on a flying lap. We've got yellow flags in sector 1, just where someone has let someone past, I believe. See where Leica is. Leica's about to start his flying up, so we'll ride on board with Leica, who so far has been phenomenal this session, with a great time. We'll see what he can do now. He crosses the line to begin his lap. He's getting way to the right hand side just to really maximise the speed he can carry across the apex of that corner. Short shift into third to avoid wheel spin on the exit and getting the power down, and he's catching someone there. I think it's Lord Zed. Yeah, it is Lord Zed, but I'm sure he'll get out of the way. That was not great by Lord Zed there. He really should have gotten to the right hand side, but despite that, Leica has still gone purple in the first sector. He's improving his time so far. It's this difficult right-hander, and Jedi slows himself down to let Leica past. Leica flicks it into the left effortlessly. A tiny little bit of a lock-up, but it's not cost him very much time at all, as he comes down to this very technical and difficult part of the track. Tight corners at high speeds, and then he flies over the Anderson Bridge, getting the car straightened up and taking quite a wide line into there. Much wider line than I've seen other drivers doing so far this session. Really sort of trying to maximise his exit out of that corner, and he's gone purple in the second sector as well, as he gets quite a big lock-up on the front right, but he's still improving his time, so we'll stick with this as he comes into the right and then he flicks it to the left. Heavy braking for the crash hots. Through the left, through the right. Clipping a little bit of curbing on the right, hooking the car around the left. He runs a little, not quite at the best run through there, but still better than most, and he gets on the power now for the final corner. And he does improve there at a 1:35.5, and he's now over a second clear of second place Panzervor. So we'll have to see how that develops, but it looks like Leica over everybody else here, as Panzer's ended up in the wall. Unfortunate for him. So he's not going to be able to go on to set the lap, so we'll see. Vilsek is on a fast lap though, and Vilsek has just gone purple in the second sector, but look at this, there's a Haas in front of him, and it looks like he's really hindering. It's Male Human UK, and I think he's ruined Vilsek's lap there. I think we'll see if Vilsek can still continue and improve, but it's hard to see. We'll see if Male Human is on an outlap or not. But yeah, I think that's Vilsek's time thrown away there, and he will come into the pits. We've got Jedi 85 is on a hot lap right now. He's keeping away from the curbing through there, but not through there. And then he stays away from it on the left, not hooking the car around like many of the drivers have preferred to do in the session. Carries really good speed through there though. It gets a bit of oversteer, and he crosses the line to go second fastest with a 1:36.4. I think he'd probably be happy with the second place, but we'll see. It looks like Leica is pretty untouchable at the moment, but we shall have to wait and see. We're currently on an hour lap, and we have Avi coming through the chicane. I think he's on. Yep, he is on a fast lap. We'll see what Avi can do as he comes underneath the stand. Through this fast chicane, running it right up to the wall, and he's got it invalidated, so he's going to come straight into the pit lane. And yeah, if he's quick, he should get another lap anyway. We look at Benji is also invalidated his lap. Male Human is on a lap right now as well. Let's see, hopefully he won't get held up too much by his own teammate here. As both Haas cars will cross the line. No, they won't. Male Human will decide to pit. Benji will cross the line, but he won't improve on his time. And I don't think he's got the ERS necessary to perform a full new lap, and he's just cut that. Yeah, and that's been invalidated there, so unfortunate for Benji. Random Sirius has joined just in time for the race. I think Jedi just went straight for another flying lap there. He hasn't improved though. As here we see Larvesh coming out of the pit lane just behind the McLaren there of Leica. And we'll see what Leica can do here. We'll quickly have a look on the tyres, see if anybody is trying to do anything smart. And yep, Donava is qualified on the medium tyre. We don't know yet if he's... It looks like it's going to be too late for him to come out and set another time, so he's going to stick with that 1:37.3 that he has set on those medium tyres. Very bold, ambitious strategy call there, but we'll see if it works out. Jedi 85 is on an in lap, I believe, with Leica just behind him. We'll have to wait and see. But that shouldn't cause any sort of issues. Jedi should just pit, and Leica should go flying past to start his flying lap. We'll see. Leica should be able to get to the line comfortably in time to start in here. That shouldn't be an issue. You see, yeah, Jedi has spun on the final corner. Let's hope he doesn't hold anyone up here. I think everybody is being let past by Jedi here, so he needs to watch out though, because he's right on the exit of the final corner, and that could cause some difficulties if he can't get that Red Bull back up and going again soon. And he does get it right to the left hand side of the track. So we'll get right back on board with Leica as he comes flying down the straight, DRS wide open, and he doesn't go purple, and he's locked up there into the left hand turn. We'll see if he can improve on his already stellar lap time. Heavy braking for the left-hander, then into the right. He carries so much speed through there, it's just immense as he comes over the Anderson Bridge, then heavy on the brakes for the hairpin. Again, we're seeing that line from him again way wide, swings in to take a late apex and really get a good exit out of that hairpin. So now gets on the brakes, and he does go purple in the second sector. He hasn't in the first, but he has in the second, so he's going to be borderline as to whether he's going to improve his time or not, so we'll have to wait and see. It's all going to depend on this final sector here from Leica. as we see Vilcek goes fastest with a 1:35. I don't know where that time has come from, but he's pulled that out of the bag, and we'll see if Leica can improve by half a second to retake pole position. As he comes through the final corner and crosses the line, and he does take provisional pole position by 2/100ths of a second here in OFR D4. The competition is incredibly close. And wow, what a final lap that was from Vilcek. He pulled that completely out of nowhere. And Leica responding with an equally fantastic lap time, or ever so slightly better lap time, in fact, of a 1:35.003. So close to getting a 1:34.9. Some fantastic driving here. And we'll look down the field, but I think it's going to be just Random Serious on a fast lap at the moment, and he did part in at least one race in Singapore here yesterday, so he does have experience with this track in OFR, so hopefully you can put that to good use and set a good lap time here. A bit tight, so it's going to hinder him his run, but your short shifts he gets the power down without any wheel spin. He gets heavy on the brakes into the right-hander. And flicking it through the chicane before the tunnel, he gets, oh yeah, it's not been a good lap, I don't think. He had to back off the throttle there to not go into the wall. It's going to cost him a lot of time. Keeping away from the curbs through there as he comes then into the right. But you can do it, see if he elevate himself P15 on these soft tyres on this final run, and he does, but 14, not a fantastic lap time there by Random Serious, but he has only had one run because he did join late. And there we go, that's the final running order for this qualifying session. We have Leica on pole position with an incredible lap time. Vilcek in the racing point only just behind him, and then quite a big gap then to Lord Zed, Panzer, Jedi, Varmesto, Theaton, Avi, Denava, Bondavin. And I think this is a new driver because I don't recognise the name, but Envoy Extreme there in 11th, Larvesh in 12th, Benji 13th, Random Serious up to 14th, and Male Human rounding off the grid in his Haas in 15th position. 5.5 seconds off the pole time set by Leica. And we do see rather heavy rain here for the start of the race, so the intel suggests, the weather radar is saying that this rain will be clearing up about halfway through the race and it will be getting a bit drier, but this is certainly not a slick tyre start, is it? So we're going to have to wait and see what tyre compound the drivers will be starting on. It looks like it's going to be intermediate weather, but Singapore and the rain is always a thrilling combination. Oh no, indeed. It's going to be a chaotic one. We'll have to see. It's going to take every bit of the driver's skill to keep it clean in the rain. We had the same weather in D2. It was even heavier. There were thunderstorms in D2 for the race, and the start was pretty chaotic. We spent about most of the first half of the race was under safety car, so we'll see. But it looks like the drivers were expecting it, because we think they've probably qualified on some wet setups or some dry setups or tuned Could have a little bit more manoeuvrability in the wet, as in D1 the times were much faster than they were in this qualifying session here in D4, so even some of the same drivers are not hitting the speeds, not hitting the lap times that they were hitting in D1, so we shall have to wait and see for that. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's going on with the lobby here. It's taking a while to load in, but we'll wait and see. We've got 30 seconds till the race begins. Let's see. As yet, people start to get onto the grid now. So yeah, for example, Vilsek went faster on the medium tyres in Division 1 than he did here on the soft, so it looks like they really have compromised their setups in qualifying in order to have a bit more comfort in the rain. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes here. Let's hope that they practice. It's going to be an intermediate start. And it's lights out and away we go here, and someone has already spun at the back. It was Male Human. Like has gotten away. So has Vilsek, and Vilsek up into the lead here. Lord Zed is going to try it possibly down the inside of turn 2. We've got yellow flags already, and Vilsek has taken the lead. Likers gets a little bit of oversteer on the exit though, and that means Lord Zed has moved up into P2 at the bit here, and it's let Vilsek with a 1.6 getting a bit of wheel spin, but expect. So we have the two Haas cars side by side, and I think that was Benji who has just spun, and he's given damage as well to, I think, penalty at Avi, all time penalties, and there's more collisions, and now we have a full course yellow safety car deployed. The drivers will have to maintain a minimum pace, but for parts of this race, as Envoy picks up a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags, as does Random Sirius. It doesn't look like Bondovin is going particularly slowly either, so we'll have to wait and see, but he has got wing damage. So there we go. One before the safety car, Vilsek, followed by Leica, followed by Lord Zed. All of them got away relatively cleanly. We have Jedi 85, Mess. He got big damage. We have Benji, who somehow doesn't seem to have very major like of that incident, and then here comes Envoy Extreme, followed by Random Series, who has a 5-second time penalty. Donava just behind him, Theaton in 12th, Vlavesh, Male Human, and Panzervor with big damage down in P15, so a terrible start for him. And here we have the predicted pit stop strategies. It's looking like a one-stop if the weather stays the same, with the drivers pitting on lap 15 or between lap 15 and lap 17 for a second strat of intermediate tyres. But we do know that the weather radar is saying that maybe this rain is going to ease off a little bit later. Will we get to the slicks? Will it just be a case of the drivers just running these intermediates down to the end of the race, trying to drive really conservatively, maybe drive offline, get a bit of water over the tyres and keep them cool? We shall have to wait and see. It's going to be an interesting one from the strategic side of it. There's a lot to be gained and a lot to be lost by gambling on going onto dry tyres and such. So we will have to wait and see. But for now, we've got Vilsek leading here as he got past Leica at the start. And it looks like we'll probably have a couple of laps of this safety car, and we've got quite a few drivers in the pits. Got Panzer here serving a penalty in the pits as well as he gets a new wing put on. Male Human has just come out. Bondovin is now out with a fresh wing, as is Benji and Arby, as well as Lavesh. So we've got the whole grid starting to form up now. We've got the train all the way down to the racing point of Theaton down there in 9th place, but we've still got Larbesh up to this safety car, so we'll wait and see how long this safety car lasts as we once again get the AWS graphics up showing the one-stop and the two-stop strategies. But like we said, if the weather changes, that's going to change as well, so we'll have to keep our eyes out for that. But so far, pretty entertaining race here in D4. And it looks like none of the drivers are going to come in on this lap, none of the lead pack at least. Managing to keep it clean at least under safety car. Still weaving to keep those tyres warm as Larbesh, Avi, Benji, Bondavin, Male Human and Panzer all start to, with the exception of Panzer and Male Human, I apologise, are now starting to form up as we see Benji come into the pits here, as well as Avi. And they both need new foot wings. It's clear they clearly haven't managed to keep it clean under the safety car. And yeah, they have to come in for wing changes under the safety car again. It's not going to be good news for them. And it is going to, I think, drop them behind Panzer as well. It might be a close one on the pit exit. And Panzer, we'll see. As I think Avi did just cross the white line there, but I think he's gotten away with it. And yeah, Panzer will take those two positions from Avi and Benji. And we'll see if they can try and catch up to the safety car. But even Male Human may struggle to catch up to the safety car because they have quite a gap ahead of them until they get up to the train and they get up to the rear wing of Bondavin. As we have the confirmation from Race Control that the safety car is in this lap. So we'll see if Vilsek can get away well. It's going to be unpredictable weather conditions, so we'll see. And I think Vilsek has gone. Leica's going to try and follow him as Bondavin has already picked up a 5-second tyre penalty for a severe collision with Larvesh. And I think that's Bondavin already into the pit lane. And here we see Leica. He's trying to chase after Vilsek, but Vilsek has already pulled out a bit of a lead in these wet weather conditions. We'll wait and see if maybe even Lord Zed can have a look at Leica, because got a little bit close there, but oh, and here we see Jedi positions. I don't think he's got any damage, but he's just lost 2 positions to Envoy Extreme and Varmesto. As we see everybody following through quite cleanly now. Benji and then Bondavin just coming out of the pit lane, so he's going to be praying for another safety car, I think, because now he's 30 seconds behind 14th place. We've got a lot of work to do here in this race. And everybody just sort of following everybody now. It's going to be very difficult to make overtakes and to make them cleanly with these conditions, as Random Series has a little look to the inside of Jedi, but can't make a move there. He's just going to have to tuck behind Jedi and wait, hopefully, for a mistake, as we have Larvesh, who is off and into the runoff area by the Anderson Bridge, I think that is. That's not great for him, but it looks like he's gotten away with it without damage, so he's lost time, but importantly he's going to have the car to be able to chase after Benji and to bring that gap down, unless we see him pit now. As Vilsack crosses the line, of course setting the fastest lap as he is in the lead after the safety car. Already dropped Leica though by 2 seconds. Lord Zed keeping Leica honest here. If you want to have a look down to Larvesh, and yeah, Larvesh does not pit, so he's going to continue on here without wing damage, it would seem. So quite possibly a lucky escape for him, as we have Avi right up the back of Panzer now. And Panzer only 3/10 away from Male Human in front of him as well, and it looks like Avi just setting himself up to get a good exit here. And he may well have done, but Panzer's very close to Male Human here. Don't think they're going to be able to make any sort of move though coming down into this corner. We've got Panzer P11. And Male Human's made a mistake. Panzer gets past him, and Avi's going to go for the move as well. Male Human is going to fight him back here though. They do make a tiny little bit of contact, but I think that was all fair and square through there. Male Human losing one position, but almost losing two with that mistake. He's lucky he's kept Avi behind. As Larvesh is already on the back of Benji now after his mistake. Seems like he does have pace if he can consistently keep it on the track and not make mistakes, but it's so easy to make mistakes on a street circuit, especially with these weather conditions. But it does look like the rain is starting to ease off. It's still coming down, but only very lightly, as we see Larvesh set a fastest sector 2 of the race as he gets past Benji down the inside. We've still got a lot of scrapping going on. We've got Var Mesto only 4/10 now behind Envoy Extreme. It looks like he might be looking at making a move. Oh, and he's hit the wall. He's got big wing damage. He's got wing damage. It's not going to be enough for him to pit, it would seem, as Vilsack sets another fastest lap of the race, but that's really going to hinder him. And Var Mesto actually sets the fastest lap of the race, but I don't think that pace is going to continue with the wing damage that he does have. But we'll see, because he's straight back on Lord Zed now. As Larvesh now sets the fastest lap of this race. We'll see Lord Zed here trying to make a move on Leica. Only 2/10 between the two drivers. He's going to be tucked up in that slipstream, and I think he may just be a little bit too far back unless he wants to make a really ambitious lunge, and he thinks better of it and tucks up behind Leica. He's just going to wait for a mistake, it looks like. He's just going to try and wait for Leica to have an issue, as that's Benji in the wall with no front wing. That's a big mistake by Benji though. That's really going to cost him. He's going to have to come into the pits, but also he's in the first sector, so he's going to lose a lot of time throughout this rest of this lap driving with no front wing. The understeer is going to be insane. That's really it's thrown a spanner in the works for his race, and we'll see if Bondovin can catch up to him. Well, that's something we'll have to keep an eye on, but we're going to cut back to Lord Zed and Leica. Lord Zed is not giving up the hunt on Leica. He wants that second place. Perhaps he could even try and challenge Vilsack afterwards if he can get past Leica, but right now Leica is the cork in the bottom of Zed and Var Mesto. And Var Mesto, he must have incredible pace, because he has that wing damage, but it doesn't seem to be slowing him down. He's keeping up well with Leica and with Lord Zed, so we'll have to wait and see how. So you have Benji now still just limping around with no front wing out there. The gap has come down for Bondovin, but he's going to definitely lose that position of being last by the time he comes out of the pits. As Vilsack sets the fastest lap of the race, and the drivers are just trading fastest laps at the moment. As Donava picks up a 3-second time penalty, that's multiple warnings on the track limit, so that's really not going to help him. That may well be crucial, especially if we get a late safety car. You really don't want to have those time penalties, because it can drop you a long way down the field. Here's Lutz, B10s behind Leica. He's going to go for the move, possibly again down this straight, and has he got an even better exit than he did last time? But he's gotten away well out of this corner. And by the time the next corner comes, Lord Zed just has not made up enough ground on Leica to look at making the move. As Benji and Male Human have both come into the pits, so we may well see Benji get held up here as they serve Male Human in the pit lane. And yeah, Benji, just to add salt to the wounds, is held up there massively and then has to serve a penalty before they can work on his car. This is really rotten luck for the Haas team, who just haven't been on pace anyway, but it's very difficult when things like this happen. You make those mistakes, it really hinder you in a race. And Lord Zed is essentially just pushing Leica through these corners, but on a circuit like this it's so difficult to overtake that Leica could feasibly keep Lord Zed behind as long as he doesn't make any mistakes. And I think if Lord Zed can get past Leica, he will be able to get onto the back of Vilsec, because he's only 2.5 seconds down the road and it looks like Lord Zed does have some good pace. Barmesto doing very well indeed to stay with them, but we'll ride on board with Lord Zed for the first sector. Let's see if he can make a move on Leica, because this is where he seems closest to Leica and where he's most likely to make a move, but he's struggling with oversteer through the 5th corner. He can't get the power down on the wet slippery surface. Even then he seems to have just a little bit more grip than Leica in front, but don't think he's going to be able to make a move here as Jedi picks up a 3-second time penalty again for multiple warnings on the track limits. We've seen that a few times this race and I'm sure we'll see it a few times again. And yeah, Leica is just way too far ahead this time. The field just starting to spread out a little bit more now. I say that as we have Random Serious, Jedi and Donava all pretty close to each other, and then behind them we have the train of Avi, Larvesh and Theaton all really close together, and I think that's another Haas car in the wall. And I said in qualifying we've got to watch out for there because it's a crash hotspot, and Male Human is proving that. He's going to have to come into the pits again as we have some swapping of positions here as Larvesh has gotten past the Eton 10 up to P11. He's got Avi just ahead of him. We'll see what Larvesh can do. He's on a charge here after making a mistake early on and losing a front wing, having to pit in to get that replaced. It's really cost him. He's down in 11th, but it looks like he's got some good pace here, so we'll see if he can try and race a really good damage limitation race here this afternoon. And the gap is quite low between Zed and Leica again, but we've seen this over and over again over the past 3 or 4 laps. This is just what happens every time with Lord Zed and Leica. They'll get close together. They won't be able to, Lord Zed won't be able to make a move, and Leica will continue to be the cork in the bottle as we see Envoy Extreme picks up a 3-second time penalty, and Vilsec again sets the fastest lap of this race. So Vilsec is loving it out front. This is perfect for him. He's just comfortably driving, and look at the gap he's got behind him. Leica hasn't even rounded the corner. There he comes around the corner, but that's now a big gap, and we've got probably just too big of a gap here between Leica and Lord Zed for any sort of move to happen. Varmesto is doing an incredibly good job to keep in touch with him with his damaged wing. Yeah, Jedi keeping Envoy Extreme very honest as well. We've got Random Serious behind him, and then Donava not too far off the back of Random Serious. So, oh, and he's hit the wall there, and he's possibly, yeah, he has. He's got damage, I think, possibly on that front left-hand side. Yeah, he's missing an end plate. And Panzer's going to use this opportunity. He's got to make the move down the inside of Donava. And there goes Avi. They've made contact. Avi's got damage. Donava's got damage. They've both got damage here. This is terrible news for them. Larvish is loving this. He's just gone sailing past Donava. And here we go, we see another incident here. Oh, and what is Panzer doing there? He's just gone into the back of Larvesh. Larvesh getting away with it. I don't think he's got any damage, but that seemed like a mistake there from Panzer. And that may well cost him. You may well see him getting a penalty for that, because that was not fantastic racecraft there. But we'll cut straight back to these two drivers here. We've got Donava and Theaton battling it out for the final points paying position as Larvesh starts sneaking away from them in front and onto the back of RV. And we've got Vil in the fastest lap again, just further extending his advantage out front. We've got Random Serious now picking up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings on track limits. And this race is just chock full of action. And here we see Larvesh trying to chase down Avi. See if he can make some sort of move. I think Avi possibly has a little bit of damage on the front right of that wing. Yeah, he does. So that's not going to help him in this fight against Larvesh, as we have another Haas car, I think, into the wall there. Larvesh isn't going to be able to get past here, so we'll cut through to, I think that's Benji with damage, who is just behind a Renault, who also seems to have a bit of damage there. So yeah, it's Var Mesto, who we know has damage on the front right of his wing. So if we cut back to the front, we'll see Lord said fallen off the back of Leica now. It looks like maybe he just burnt those tyres up a little bit, trying to follow Leica too closely earlier on in the stint. And Leica maybe starting to come back a little bit at Vilsack. We'll see what sort of lap times he can put in over the next couple of laps to try and bring himself closer, but not taking a great line through there. But most importantly, they're keeping it out at the barriers, they're not getting damage, and they're letting out themselves just build up a really healthy advantage to the cars behind, because the next car behind is Var Mester, who has damage, and he's 6 seconds behind. So it may be a 3-horse race here, but I wouldn't count on it, because if we get one safety car, it can turn a whole race on its head. So Leica now sets the fastest lap of the race. He's going to try and have to start reeling in Vilsack, but Vilsack has got quite the sizable advantage up front, so it's going to be very difficult for him. As Random Serious gets past Envoy Extremes, I think he's... yes, he has. And we have yellow flags there for, I think that's Panzer. Yeah, that is Panzer, who has found himself in the wall. And he nearly reverses into Benji there, who's carrying his wing on top of the car. He gets on the brakes to try and fling it off, but no. It's a safety car. We have a safety car deployed here for the second time in this race. And how is this going to turn the race on its head? Will we see some pit stops at the front? It's still raining, so if this had come a few laps later, perhaps there'd be slicks or intermediates, but I think it's pretty comfortably going to be intermediate weather out there. So we're going to have to see what effect this is going to have on the race, but it'd be interesting to see if the leaders decide to pit, if somebody at the back maybe decides that they have to take a risk. You know, we'll have to see Panzer coming into the pits, because he does need to change that wing, so maybe he'll make a gamble on tyres, but I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be intermediates for him as well. Steaton gets a drive-through penalty, speed under safety car, and Panzer, he's missed the pits. I think he's just completely overcooked that, and he can't do this. Can't do this. It's really dangerous here. What is he doing? I don't think that's going to be allowed. That was incredibly dangerous there by Panzervor. You're under safety car, just do another lap. I think the stewards are going to have something to say about that, because that was really unsafe. As we have Barmesto in the pits, he's going to use this opportunity to get that front wing changed. So, although he was keeping up with the guys ahead, he's going to need it changing. And here's the biggest news: he's on the hard compound tyre. We see Vlavesh in the pits, but he's coming on for the intermediates. We've got Abby in the pits also for inters, and we have Envoy Extreme out on medium compound tyre. So we're now starting to see people taking risks. Look, compound tyre. We're starting to see some drivers who have nothing to lose further back down the grid, thinking the only way I'm going to get something from this race is by making an incredible gamble. We'll see, but there doesn't seem to be much of a dry line forming yet. Barmesto, of course, the highest up of the dry compound runners, so we'll have to watch him closely because he's a quality driver and he's been driving very well considering the wing damage that he has had. So if anyone can pull it off, it looks like it'll be him. But they're all just going to start forming up now. We've got Vilsec in the lead, followed by Leica, Lord Zed, Jedi then quite far behind, but he will form up, as will. Then we've got Barmesto taking that gamble. Then we've got Avi, who's on those intermediates, fresh intermediates after just pitting. Then Larvesh also intermediates after pitting. Bondvin on the inters. But then we have Envoy Extreme on the intermediates. Then Benji on the soft tyres, and he really looks like he's... And he's hit the wall there under the safety car. It does not look like this track is ready for those slick tyres. Look how much he's drifting around. And I just don't think this was the right choice. It'll be interesting to see if he comes back out on the softs or any other dry compound tyre, or if he just goes, yeah, that won't work, we need to go for the intermediate tyre. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll ride on board with him for his pit stop because there's not much else going on under the safety car. And we'll try and spot what tyres he has. And he's coming on for mediums. So clearly he thinks the gamble is still worth it. He thinks maybe if I drive slowly under, I keep out of the wall, and hopefully after a few laps the track is going to have dried off enough where these slicks are actually going to be a feasible race tyre. But for the time being, they just do not look like the compounds will be on right now. Certainly looking like the intermediates are the way to go. As we see Panzer almost about to get lapped. And Benji just struggling to keep it on the road with these dry tyres. He's really struggling, but we can definitely see the track visibly is drier than it was. The rain is still coming down, but very, very lightly, so who knows, if we have maybe 2 more laps of this safety car, will that line be dry enough where it's going to be feasible to actually stay on those slick tyres? I mean, if we're looking down from the helicopter now and the track doesn't look particularly wet, there does seem to be some moisture of course on the track, but it's looking relatively dry. Very greasy of course, very slippery, but I can see why drivers have decided to take that risk. So if we quickly just get up the position change, I'll have a little look at that now. Look at the big winners here so far. Random Serious in P6, he's made up 8 positions off the start, and now he's on those hard tyres. If this gamble works out, Random Serious could really be in business to bring home a really good finish. Larvesh has done quite well as well, up 4 places to P8. Look at the big losers though. We've got Barmesto, he's down 5 places. Been struggling with that wing damage a little bit, and he's had to take that gamble onto those medium compound tyres. And then we have Panzer in 14th place as we see 3 drivers ahead of him coming to the pits. Presumably, oh, way more than 3, looking like 5, and he stops a second there to debate whether to go into the pits, and he keeps on going. But let's get the tyre graphic up and let's watch this column intently. As look, Random Serious is now up to second place. That gamble has worked so well for him, and look, everybody is coming in for those dry compound tyres. So it looks like those drivers that did take that risk are going to benefit, and namely, Random Serious could be on for a race win here. Who knows? If he has the pace and he can keep that pace up to the end, he could be doing incredibly well. We've got a couple lapped cars in between him and our race leader here, who is going to be Leica. But Leica is going to have to make a pit stop as Abby picks up a 5-second time penalty, because those intermediates, it doesn't look like they're the right tyres to be on. We've only got 3 drivers on them now. The majority opting for hards to try and go to the end, and a couple taking a risk on the mediums. Maybe seeing if they can be really cautious with those tyres and bring them all the way to the end. It looked like Vilsack got a little bit out of shape and a little bit wide through there, but I don't think there's any damage there. I think he's kept it clean and out of the walls as he gets past Jedi, who I think's made a mistake. Yes, Jedi has made a big mistake there, and he nearly has contact with another driver there who lets him back past again. But he's lost that position to Vilsack after making a mistake coming out of, I think there was the hairpin. No, it wasn't the hairpin, I do apologise. As we get race control saying that the safety car is in this lap, but there was a bit of carbon fibre flying there. Someone has picked up damage. And Danava, yeah, it is Danava who's picked up damage, but we're going to cut straight back to the front of the field because it's time for Leica to try the safety car restart. And now we'll really see what pace these intermediates do have against the dry compound tyres. Leica keeping a very slow speed for now. He's letting that safety car get ahead. He's letting it get towards the pit lane so he doesn't catch up to it. He can decide when he wants to bolt as we see Benji come into the pits. He's got the insurance of Panzer behind him. Try and keep him safe from Random Serious as the pit strategy window for the mediums opens, so AWS think you can bring mediums all the way to the end of the race as Random manages to negotiate the back marker there and can try and get after Leica. So we've got cars having difficulties in the background, and Random Serious is half spun. Oh, and he's in the wall and he's got damage, and that's such bad luck there for Random Serious. He looked like he was on for such a good result, and again bad luck. But look at this, Lord Zed has got so much more grip than Leica. He can just afford to bide his time here as he does actually tap into the back of Leica there, who's just going way too slowly for Lord Zed's liking, and he's going to try this move around the outside. And that is a beautiful overtake, and it looks like Vilsack is going to try and follow him through here. He's going to dive it around the outside, and they make contact, and that's damage for Vilsack. You think maybe Leica would just give up the position here because he clearly just doesn't have the pace on those intermediate tyres, but he's fighting it, and this is playing into Lord Zed's hands because look, he's already got a 3-second gap to Leica and to Vilsack. He's going to be hoping, he's going to be going, Leica, hold him up please. He's going to be begging as Vilsack finally negotiates his way past Leica, but he does have that wing damage, and this is fantastic for Lord Zed. Look at the gap he's got already on the rest of the field. But what is the biggest question is, can he keep it clean to the end? We've seen drivers just on their own making mistakes here. It's a very difficult circuit. There's still not going to be a lot of grip. The track's going to be green and it's going to be a little bit greasy, a little bit slippery, so it's going to be very difficult to get to the end on these tyres without making a mistake. As he sets the fastest lap of the race. So yeah, the track very clearly drying up now, and Leica does finally come into the pits. We'd imagine he's going to be coming on probably for medium tyres. But yeah, he's been really caught out by the changing weather conditions here as Random Serious then picks up a 5-second time penalty. He just can't get a break. Picks up a 5-second time penalty there for speeding in the pit lane. as Lord Z goes purple in Sector 1. Got Jedi then behind Vilsec, Jedi without damage, so we'll see if he can maybe start to reel Vilsec in. But there's a 5-second gap. Looks like he is possibly going to... The gap is not changing very much, as we see Random Sirius now start to fall down the order in the pit lane as he comes on for the mediums. Leica also on the medium tyre. Look how much it has paid off for the drivers that decided to pit early for those dry compound tyres. They've really got an advantage here, as looks like Lord Z is just going to put in another fastest lap because he's gone fastest in both sectors so far. Coming up to this crash hot spot here, and he keeps it clean. Got 15 laps left of this race, now just over halfway. But there's still so much that can happen. There can quite easily be another safety car here. Very easily indeed, so we'll have to wait and see. But the field's starting to get a little bit spread out now. There's not that many close fights on track, as Lud said, does go fastest, and DRS is now enabled, so the FIA clearly thinking there's enough grip there for that rear wing to flap open. So clearly that track is getting very dry now indeed, and we'll see Envoy Extreme picking up the position there as this Racing Point decides he wants to come into the pits. He doesn't have damage, it doesn't look like, at least not visible damage, so it'll be interesting to see why he's pitting. But we've got Envoy still trying to chase down Larvesh now. Neither of them have damage. It looks like it's a straight fight between the two of them. Envoy Extreme having the DRS wide open as Avi sets the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:42.4. Look at Leica, he's going to be going for the move here. He's going to go down the inside, both of them with DRS wide open. Can't quite get the position there, but we see the Aton run very wide on the exit. Let's hope he hasn't picked up damage there, because it looks like he did tap the wall a little bit. I think he's gotten away with it as Benji picks up a 3-second time penalty, but what an exit that Leica has got. And he's passed not one but two there as Bonderman gets a terrible exit off that corner. I think he may well have had a little contact with the wall possibly, but Leica, 2 positions in 1 around Singapore. Very impressive move by him, showing that he really does have that pace. Yes, he has been caught by the strategy, but that raw pace is still there, and he does have the ability to recover to a good position if he can keep this up. So if you are just joining us, we started off this race with Leica on pole position, getting away relatively well, but he was being fought by other drivers. But the race order was then completely just changed, turned on its head. We had a safety car, and the rain just got a little bit lighter. Some drivers thought they'd take a risk on the dry compound tyres, and that's paid off massive place before he had an incident and had to come into the pits again. Lord Z now is the one who has really taken advantage of the circumstances to put himself into P1 currently. We've got 13 laps remaining, so we'll see if he can try and keep himself there, but it's a race of attrition here at Singapore. It's so easy just to make a little bit of a mistake, just tap a wall, lose an end plate, and then you really struggle around this track. But we'll cut down to Avi, because look at this, there's a tiny gap between him and Bonderman. He's going to go for the move, he's going to try and hang it around the outside. He is on those soft tyres, he's going to have more grip, but Bonderman keeps it for now. But Avi's going to go back down the inside. Bonderman though still keeping ahead, but look, this is another overtaking opportunity here for Avi. He's going to have another look down the inside, as we see. I think that's Benji who's gone off. Avi, sorry, has made a little bit of a mistake, ran a little bit wide. He's kept it together so far, and who is that on the bridge? It's Theaton, and we see we're seeing some big crashes here. Theaton's out of the race. Some big penalties being given out as well, but that's surely going to be, yeah, there is a safety car, another safety car. And look at the drivers struggling to get past that stricken Racing Point. Losing a lot of time here. having to back up, and they're going to have to be careful. Random Series. And Avi has been disqualified from the session. This race just keeps changing, and Random Series is going to have to watch out that he doesn't get disqualified too for that reversing. But Avi also now disqualified, as well as Bondovin, from this race with Theaton DNFing, and that's sad for Avi. But we'll see Envoy and Varmesto coming into the pits. Leica moving himself up to 5th place. And it's yeah, it's not great when you see something like that. Sometimes it is just inevitable, as the Nava picks up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So we so far have lost 4 drivers now from this race. We have 12 drivers remaining, so now I'm sure there's going to be some pit stops changing everything around a little bit. I'm certainly going to see a few cars with damage after what just happened there, so we'll see. I mean, look how crazy this race has been. We've got Larvesh in 4th place, and he's made 3 pit stops. Envoy Extreme of Armester in 6th and 7th, both with 4 pit stops. Benji in 12th, he's had 6 pit stops, and he's still going to be right up to the back of the field. Nope, now 7 pit stops with this safety car. So this is a race that just keeps on giving drama, drama, drama. Larvesh up 8 positions from where he started to be 4th place. Vilsek doing well. I mean, he started in 2nd place, but he got Leica off the start into turn 1. Now he's down to 2nd place, but he's going to have possibly the pace advantage over Lord Zed, but he is going to pit. And this is interesting. There's 11 laps left of this race, so you would imagine he'd be going for the medium tyre. I don't think the softer will last that long. We'll have to wait and see, but he's going to need a new front wing gear. He's clearly had some sort of contact as he does go on for those medium tyres, and it'll be interesting to see how many positions he does lose, because Jedi is also pit and he is serving a penalty, as does Larvesh. We may see Leica even make up a couple of positions here. We're going to see the Haas car, I think, of Male Human unlap himself. We'll see if Leica can get past either of the Red Bulls, or maybe even both of them in the pit lane. He is going to get past Larvesh. It'll be interesting to see. It's going to be close to see if he gets past Jedi, but I think he is going to. He does just get past Jedi though. So Leica started on pole. He had a disastrous time, dropping way down the order, and now he's up into 3rd place. This is an absolutely crazy race. We have Lord Zed just behind the safety car now, leading the pack, and the nearest car in 2nd place 30 seconds behind him. We see Random Serious, Envoy Extreme and Larvesh all making up 6 places. Doing very well, and as is usually the case in Singapore, especially when you add in this sort of weather that we have had for the first half of the race, you can get a good finish just by not crashing out. And you know, you look at the 2 Haas drivers, Male Human and Benji, they have seriously lacked pace for this entire race, but they're now 10th and 11th. They're going to be getting a point. So it shows if you can just keep all 4 wheels on your car, you have a chance. As we saw Lords from pace, it's going to come down to soft. I think he's realised that perhaps Vilsek is just going to have too much pace for him, so he's going to come in for those soft tyres and try and use that to cancel out perhaps the pace advantage of the faster drivers ahead of him. And look at this now, after all the crazy stuff that's gone on, the crashing, the contact with the walls, the multiple pit stops, it's just as it was on lap 1. Vilsek in the lead and Leica in 2nd place. So we're just under safety car at the minute still. It should possibly be coming in this lap. I mean, the field is not fully bunched up yet. We've got Lord Zed just catching back up to the pack again now. Then we've got Random Serious and the two Haas cars who've been lapped are a little bit behind. Donava is way behind in the pit lane, but still ahead of the two Haas cars who I think have been lapped by basically the entire field except for I think Donava. Yeah, so we're just seeing the drivers following the safety car around now. There's not much happening right now, but there will be soon when this safety car comes in and the drivers are unleashed from behind it. And it is going to be another lap here under the safety car. Vilsec leading from Leica, leading from Jedi. Envoy in fourth with Larvesh in fifth. So if you look down the field now, everybody on the dry compound tyres, it's been that way now for about 5 laps. But this is the great thing about Singapore, is the unpredictability is never lost. It doesn't matter if it's the last lap of the race, you still don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, we'll see the drivers that can keep that concentration and can keep that consistency through the race are going to have a massive in the of the incredible driver Jolyon Palmer. You have to be alert on a street circuit. So we'll see how alert these drivers are going to be on the restart. Let's see if Leica's going to be alert enough to notice when Vilsec goes, to react quickly and maybe try and challenge him into T1, 2, 3 and 4 before you really run out of overtaking opportunities until the next lap. So we shall see. We'll go back up to the front of the field, then we'll watch Vilsec. Here he's of course dictating the pace right now. He's going to decide when to lead the pack out of this safety car period and into green racing again. And it looks like he's gone now as the pack accelerates. Vilsec has gotten away well. He's gotten a little bit of oversteer through there. He's kept it together though. But Leica, he's following closely now. He's only half a second behind, and Jedi is only 3/10 behind him, so we're going to see if we can see some overtakes here, and I do not like that camera angle. See, as we've got Leica chasing down Vilsec for the lead of this race. He's going to tuck himself up in the slipstream. Let's see if maybe he can make a move. It looks like he's going to be a little bit too far back. We've got Vilsec trying to get some heat into those tyres and break the slipstream from Leica. Got Jedi, then Envoy, then Larvesh and Barmesto. Varmesto very close to Lavesh here. They're both locking up. It looks like Varmesto may be looking at making a move soon on Lavesh to take P5. But Vilsack now has got a second advantage up in front. It looks like he's got the pace here to do quite well. As we have the two Husqvarnas pretty close to each other, but we're going to cut Lavesh because we've got a close little battle here with these drivers. They all seem to be very equal on pace. And on a tight circuit like this, when you get battling, you also get drama. As look, here goes Lavesh down the inside on Envoy Extreme. Envoy Extreme is going to cede that position, and Varmesto may be having a little look on Envoy Extreme, but I don't think he's going to get the opportunity just yet. As Lord Z picks up a 3-second time penalty for track limits. And we have a look to the gap to the leader as Vilsack sets a new fastest lap. Already the field spread about 10 seconds, 9 seconds to Danava. The two Husqvarnas quite a bit further behind, as I think that's Lord Z gets past Random Serious into T1 and then through T2. We'll see if Random Serious can maybe come back at Lord Z though. He's going to try and get a good exit. He's going to tuck up in the slipstream behind Lord Z, but it looks like he's just got a little bit too much of an advantage here. I think for to make a move. Look at this, Lord Z wastes no time to get on the back of Varmesto, who's on the back of Envoy Extreme, and we've got a good little bit of fighting here for P5. It'll be on the road. Lavesh just ahead of them. This is where we saw some big incidents earlier on. Varmesto locking up into that hairpin. We're going to see he's basically pushing Envoy Extreme there as Lord Z picks up some big oversteer. We'll go back to Varmesto, see if he can maybe make a move. He can't. Random Serious now is getting involved in this little group of drivers fighting, and we've got Danava just behind Random Serious as well. As Varmesto has now picked up a 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings on the track limits, but these guys are going to keep on fighting. Varmesto essentially just pushing Envoy Extreme through the sector now, but it's so tight through here that it's just so difficult to overtake. As DRS now gets enabled due to Vilsack crossing the line to start lap 25 of 31. Lord Z might be making a move, maybe having a look down the inside there. Varmesto's gone very wide though. This could allow Lord Z in. It's going to allow him in, and he's going to get through. He's going to get past Varmesto. As we have yellow flags in Sector 1. I think that's Danyava who's ended up in the wall, and so does Male Human UK. As Benji comes into the pits, but these guys are both going to have to box, and let's hope they can get around with that damage without going into the wall. But here's Lord Z and Envoy Extreme. The two Alfa Romeos swapping places here, and Varmesto, he's going to have a look around the outside. This could be an absolutely fantastic move by Varmesto, and it is a great move there by Varmesto. We'll see if maybe Envoy can fight him back, but I don't think he is. I think that's going to be an absolutely stupendous overtake there by Varmesto to go around the outside of Lord Z. Clearly he was very alert on this street circuit to pull off a move like that. As we have yellow flags in Sector 2, and it's the Haas of Male Human again, I think, who's having some issues, but he could well just pick up a point here anyway, just because of being able to just not crash out, as is the reality of a street circuit. But look at this, we've got Envoy and Random Serious very close to each other here. Random seems like he has the pace over Envoy Extreme, and he may well be looking to try and make a pass. Envoy falling off the back of Varmesto pretty quickly now as well, as he's going to try and Varmesto tries to get after the back of Lord Z. But we're going to have to see what Random Serious can do. He's only 3/10 away, and he's going to have the DRS. He could make a move here. He is going to go down the inside. He cuts the curb and a little bit down the inside, but it means he's got the inside line now. And Envoy is going to fight him back though. He's not giving this position up without a fight. They're going to go too wide down here, and I think Random Serious has just swooped right the way around the outside there of Envoy Extreme. Absolutely fantastic move. Andy gets the DRS, which should hopefully for him keep his position safe coming into this corner. Look at this, Lord Zed now right up behind Larvesh as well. Barmesto not too far behind as well. He could be looking to pounce on any mistakes that either of these two drivers make. But it looks like there's going to be fighting going on till the end of lap 31 here, because of the multiple safety cars. We're seeing drivers of all different abilities really spread throughout the field, so we're going to see a lot of overtakes. As we see Lord Zed, he's tucked up behind Larvesh. He does have the DRS wide open. He's in the slipstream. May have a little look to the outside. It may turn to a switchback though. He's got to keep it in the slipstream, and he is going to go for the move around the outside. As we see here, Larvesh just keeping that position ahead of Lord Zed, but only by a tenth and a half or so. And look, Barmesto straight in on this as they slow each other down. Larvesh picking up a 3-second time penalty. Lord Zed just needs to keep in touch with Larvesh. Maybe he'll inherit the position through penalties, or maybe he can get past him on the track. We'll have to wait and see, but the DRS is going to be wide open for him again now. I think he's going to be a little bit too far back to make a move just quite yet on this straight, but he's just going to have to keep it close. And he may well actually be able to get a better exit here than Larvesh, and maybe even challenge him before this right-hander, but certainly afterwards using the DRS. Let's ride on board with Lord Zed now, and this has got to be a chance here, an overtake, as he has the overtake mix on. DRS wide open. He does go down the inside there of Larvesh, who I don't think has an answer to Lord Zed there. Lord Zed's pace just too much, I think, for Larvesh to handle. And there, Barmesto is already getting involved. Already at Larvesh and thinking, I might want that P5. We'll just bring up the telemetry now so you can see the gears and such that the drivers are in. DRS wide open there for Barmesto. But this little train is certain to create a little bit more drama yet, I think, a little bit more overtaking, because Lord Zed has not expanded his advantage by very much. Larvesh is keeping in touch with him, and Barmesto is also keeping them honest, so we may well see some more fighting. I think Vilsek is pretty comfortably in the lead out front if we just cut to him shortly. 5 seconds ahead of Leica now in first place, and he's had a lot of pace this race, and it looks like he's being rewarded for that. I think he's going to be able to take this win home without barring any massive mistakes on his part. We'll see Barmesto still following behind Larvesh though, only 4 tenths behind now. He's going to have that DRS to swing wide open as well, but I think Larvesh might do too. No, he doesn't. On board with Barmesto. We'll see if he can make this move on Larvesh. Larvesh squeezes him really aggressively, but Barmesto's gotten that position as Barmesto gets position as Larvesh locks up. Barmesto losing 2 positions here, not great for him, but he's got quite a gap behind him to Random Serious, and Danarava picks up a 3-second time penalty. We've had a lot of penalties given out here today. We shall have to wait and see how much that affects the race results. But as far as I believe, I'm pretty sure Vilsek does not have any significant penalties, so I think if he can bring it home to cross the line in P1, then it will be P1. So we have a yellow flag in sector 1, it's a Haas car as well. It's made a mistake again. And yeah, that's going to be damage there for Male Human UK. Both Haas cars just struggling for pace here, and both of them actually have damage. Benji's got damage on the front right of his wing as well, but they're in a race of their own at the moment. We'll see Larvesh, he's just keeping within DRS range of Barmesto, although it seems like Barmesto just has a little bit more pace than him. We'll see if he can keep within 1 second as he comes onto the next straight, but I have that DRS buffer behind him. Barmesto will have the DRS, he hasn't opened it though. I'm not sure if he just hasn't realised that he had the DRS for that straight, but he hasn't used it. And that's meant that Barmesto now is comfortably ahead of Larvesh. Wait and see, as we've got Envoy Extreme in the pits, but perhaps that's just him trying to get the fastest lap of the race because he knows he's got a big gap behind him. We'll see what he can do as he comes on to lap 30 next lap to see if he can get the fastest lap. But yeah, the field's starting just to spread out a little bit. The faster drivers have sort of risen to the top a little bit more now. There's less mixed in with the slower drivers, and I think it may be a little bit calmer to the end of the race now. We've only got 2 laps remaining. So we see our leader Vilsek with now a 6-second advantage over behind him, and he's gone across the line to start the second to last lap of the race, the penultimate lap. Now started by Vilsek. And yeah, there's no real fights out on track now. There's no gaps below a second. We'll see if anyone can make one last charge. We're right on board with Envoy Extreme because we think he's going to be going pretty fast with those fresh soft tyres. We'll see if maybe he can try and get the fastest lap of this race. He's certainly got the tyres to do it. Gets late on the brakes here to go through this tunnel. Looks like he's driving pretty conservatively though. Not going too fast through these corners, so he may well not get the fastest lap, or he may well be trying to get it now. Of course, as he then enters lap 30, yeah, my mistake. This is where he'll be trying to get the fastest lap of the race as he throws it into the left-hander of T1. Keeping it on the line through that little sequence of corners, and he gets straight onto the overtake. Give himself that boost of speed before he's back onto the brakes. He wants to carry quite a bit of speed through here, and he's already on the overtake button before he even gets the car straightened up. Really focusing on trying to get as much straight line speed as he can down here, and he brakes really late into this left-hander. But he keeps it within the lines. Hudson picks up a 3-second time penalty. Looking like a good lap here by Envoy Extreme. You see, I'm sure he's up into the rich engine mode as well. As Lord Zed is closing in a little bit on Jedi, so we're going to have to watch that gap. But Lord Zed is really pushing, you can tell by the fact that he's picking up these time penalties. 4 tenths per second, so we're going to ride on board and have a little look here. An overtake to finish P3 on the road. I'm not sure if that would carry over because of his penalties, as he only just keeps it out of the wall there. But yes, Jedi certainly is going to be under a bit of pressure here from Lord Zed. I think he's going to be a little bit too far behind on this straight. He may not get it, as Vilsek has now started the last lap of this race. We're on to lap 31 of 31. We're going to watch Lord Zed now, see if he can get Jedi. He's got a bit of a buffer to Varmester in case he does make a mistake, but he doesn't really want to risk that, I'm sure. And he does hit the wall there, and he has picked up damage from that. So that's what happens when you push. You do make those take those risks. Clearly not being alert enough on a street circuit there. Lord Zed he could learn from our Lord and Saviour Jolyon Palmer there, but unfortunately for him he has picked up some damage. I think the gap to Varmesto is just going to be significant enough that he won't be under very much serious pressure come the end of this race, as we watch Envoy still pushing to get the best lap time he can. But we'll go on to Vilsek for what I believe is going to be his final corner of this race. He is going to cross the line, and he does, to win D4 OFR Singapore Grand Prix. Leica's going to follow him for P2. Then Jedi is going to round the corner to round off the podium, followed closely by Lord Zed. Varmesto might be able to get the position from Lord Zed. He does. We'll see if Larvesh can as well. He can't quite. He's going to come home in 6th as he picks up a 5-second time penalty. Then we've got Random Series. He's coming through the tunnel. Routes comes to the fast right-left chicane before the final corner. To come home in a very respectable P7 on the road here. Just Random Series, I think, running out of fuel on the line. He picks up a 5-second time penalty, and here comes Envoy Extreme. Really pushing. He's got the overtake enabled despite being going through the slow corners there, so he's really taking risks, and he really goes for it there on the apex. Crosses the line. He doesn't pick up that purple he was after, I don't think. Now we'll see Danyava is going to be the last car to cross the line, so I'm pretty sure that will have already finished having been lapped. We see Danyava cross the line, and now we're still waiting on Benji to finish. He'll be the last driver to cross the line on lap 31. Male Human having already crossed the line on lap 30 to finish his race. Benji up a single point just by keeping it consistent and not making a massive mistake that could take him out of this race. And he's going to cross the line to take home P10 and the final points paying position of this race. As Larvesh picks up driver of the day, and I'm not surprised. He's made up a lot of positions from the start. He's really had a fantastic race. So all credit there to Larvesh for a fantastic drive. We see the podium celebrations there. 3 drivers that have raced incredibly well there that are now being rewarded with a taste of virtual champagne. It's Vilsec, Leica and Jedi on the podium. We've then got Varmesto, Lord Zed, Larvesh, Random Serious, Envoy Extreme, Danyava and Benji rounding off the points paying positions. Male Human the last of the finishing cars, with Bondavin, Theaton, Panzer and RV all not finishing this race, either due to crashes or through disqualification. But yeah, that was a great race. I want to thank everybody who tuned in to watch that. I want to thank the drivers for providing such an entertaining race. So yeah, thank you everybody. I've been your commentator, Will_Ans, and yeah, as always, a pleasure to commentate OFR. So I hope you guys have a wonderful remainder of your Sunday or Monday, depending on where in the world you are, and yep, until next week, goodbye.